Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Clock Talk with Dr. Greg Brannon. Greg, thank you for sharing your story. For those that are just watching episode 4, there are 3 others, 1, 2, and 3. We've covered a lot of stuff. We've covered the time Greg was born, through med school, through being a successful OBGYN, to 7 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife. So
if you're not asleep now, we'll put you to sleep with this episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like my life has been wildly blessed, and obviously listening to your story, you've had some hardships, growing up, et cetera, but you're blessed, right? Everybody would say that. So you got this family, you got this great practice going on, are you going 100 miles an hour at that point in time, or do you have the ability to reflect and to incorporate gratitude, I guess you could say, and a sense of, hey, we're here for a bigger purpose?
Yeah, that's always back there. I may talk fast, I may do things fast, but my brain works slow. Like I already know what I'm a couple steps ahead in the sense of that. So I love here. Like I look at the here now, but I'm always looking, I'm looking down the line years too, but I never lose focus. It's like when I was in a surgery, I was anticipating 5 steps down the line so I don't have to make the wrong turn before I got there. So I always applied that. And part of it is, Jim, it's like, I don't be preachy here, but I really don't worry about tomorrow. And I'm not, yes, we work hard. Yes, we put money away. Yes, we want to take care of family. I got all that. That's all. I got that. But the Matthew 6, there's a verse Christ talks about, Matthew 6:23 to 32. He says, who of you could add hour to your life? The answer is nobody. So he goes, I got it all. And that just puts a freedom on me. Pre-Greg, I had to do it all myself. Me. It's always me. When I learned it wasn't me, that made things a lot often. So yes, things may seem chaotic or things going, but again, Greg, now I'm not talking my journey was like that. I'm talking, it was even a younger Greg lived in Cary. It was still me. Even though I knew Christ in charge, but applying it. I was young, stupid. I thought I knew everything. But as you get older, you realize you really have no control, only what you can do. And I believe that's a freedom. I believe that's a complete freedom to let go.
Okay, so now you're rocking, and you have this freedom, liberty, political bug. Your wife tells you don't run.
First time.
Some other people told you not to run the second time.
Exactly. I was stupid.
So walk us through that thought process. What happened?
Jody's first laughed, and then a couple hours later says, go for it.
Okay, so, fair enough.
So
for the first time.
The second time was, I can't say the public person who asked me to run. He was wrong. He ran for president, but it's another story. Peter was like 3rd or 4th grade. And we helped start a school called Cary Christian School. You started St. Michael's. We were trying to help our kids' education. And Jody helped do the curriculum kind of stuff. And I read this thing. So Pete was like, say 8th grade, say 8 years old. Well, I can tell you this, 1993. So even before Pete and that thing, I read this thing called the Federalist Papers. That's how Madison was named Madison. I never heard of this stuff. And then I read George Washington's Farewell Address. I'm like, okay, I'm a doctor. I went to a good school. I don't know any of this stuff. And I thought I knew all the answers. Vote Republican was fine. And I'm like, what the heck? So, my house, I got 3 libraries, and I just started reading 4 books a week. And I started reading. I'll say, okay, I'm not knocking the Heritage Foundation. I started reading the top 100 books every conservative should read. And I started reading these books like Vote Republican. But that's not the answer. And that led me to, in the late 80s, I met a guy called Ron Paul. When I didn't meet him. I started reading stuff. And he made it so non-emotional. It's not R or D. It's not left or right. It's liberty or not. It's all it comes down to. So I started reading everything he recommended. I started reading more and more and more. Then I went back to the original. Just read the Declaration. Just read it. Those 27 things Madison said are happening today. Read our first Constitution called the Articles of Confederation. Then you read the writings of the convention. So it's got me passionate about it. And as this was Easter of 2009, I'm on a run at the beach, and I go, I'm going to run. And Jody first laughed, and then we went for it. And I just started giving, I started reading, writing. We came from nowhere, and I think we lost the primary to Tom by 3 or 4 points. So here I am, nowhere, in a few years.
For those in the audience, you ran for Senate.
U.S. Senate.
In North Carolina.
Yeah, in September.
2012?
2014.
2014?
But we came out of, I'm no politician. Tom Tillis beat me. He's a nice man, but he's more of a progressive than I was. So out of nowhere, I'm endorsed now by Ron Paul, Mike Lee. I'm on Glenn Beck. I'm on Fox. It's just crazy out of nowhere. And all I used to give speeches on, Jim, was freedom and liberty. And I was a little naive thinking you could win by knowing the material, but there's more to that. And then you taught me that in the second time, and you helped me out. And what was freedom about that was to understand that those 7 pages of the Constitution is either a piece of paper or real. But the core of the whole thing is this: the whole core of it I learned is coercion, freedom over coercion, or compulsion over liberty. Like you have to choose. And I still think the American system, like when I was on Glenn Beck, I was on the show a few times, and one time we did a whole TV show on him, and he goes, "But Greg, the system hasn't worked." I go, "No, no, no. It's not the system didn't work. It's the men and women we would put in those positions. They're not listening to their honor." George Washington said, "The true keepers of the Constitution are we the people." And I think we're waking up more and more and more. I mean, I don't want to throw it away. I don't want a revolution. I just want men and women to do your job. Because if you look back at the Constitution, it's a trustee, it's a document where the states are over the federal government, and the federal government has 13 functions to protect the state. It's all this is about. And the 9th and 10th are the crux. So that was a bug I got, and I got going, and we got pretty far, Jim. And then, but you learn when you go public, you get attacked. And I got sued. I got this. I got my kids being followed on Facebook. It is. So Jody, when you said Jody wanted me to run, she wanted me to run the first time because you got your family. The second time that was more of a mistake. I thought we had an opportunity to maybe make a difference, but it isn't. But I don't want to, because I lost, I still think I won a lot. I ended up making an optimal buy with you and
I was
Tyler.
gonna say, I mean, what did you learn about this whole political process
What I
during that time?
learned is I believe the backbone of America is still the individual, and it's not going to ever come from the top down. It's going to come from us. And I believe they want to divide us, red, blue, all that kind of crap. And that's why I think it's so simple when you start talking about what freedom truly is. And I know it sounds nerdy, but there's an essay called, these guys called Cato. They wrote in the 1740s, these two guys. And it's a phrase that people jumped into at the very beginning, but they start thinking about, go, maybe he's correct in this. Asking somebody's permission is slavery. If I have to ask your permission, I'm your slave. And we have to understand that's what we are, the kings and queens. And that's what the Constitution, that's what the Declaration declares. The Constitution is supposed to embody that, which they misinterpreted. So these are things that I got. So when I hear like the Supreme Court is in charge of what the law means, it's not in Article 3, or the president has this function. No, he doesn't. So I think that's it. So you got guys like, you have Thomas Massey, by the way, his wife just passed away. You have Mike Lee of Rand Paul, Mosh. These guys are true constitutionalists. And I think what happens is we start arguing over what it means. Then we become the rule of men. I think the rule of men is when we become beat up and we become these quintiles. So I'm very passionate on liberty, Jim. And I think and I actually, during my part of my campaign, I said, I think medical liberty is going to actually bind us, not R or D, but medical liberty. That encompasses your dollar, encompasses your freedom. And I think that's where we're at. So there's a bug I had. That Jody had to be into it because she's giving speeches. I mean, It had to be, we all go in.
I know you're not a big fan of executive orders.
Well, again, constitutionally, it's not there. That's my thing, Jim.
Right.
And they use George Washington's, when he did the first proclamation, the neutral proclamation, he did it, which is not Constitution. They go back to say, well, look, he did it, but it's still not there. There you have a king. And that's my issue, Jim. So when you ask, the future of medicine or whatever field it is, I believe what Reagan talked about, have 50 laboratories and see which states let more free markets go. You live in New York and California. Those who want to go there and be under a social society. The sense of free markets. You look at it, it's funny. Like if you want to build a business, you have tax-free day. Of course, taxes destroy us. It's theft. They asked George Washington in the Philadelphia Convention, what do you think about income tax? He goes, it's been settled in the Decalogue of God. The 8th commandment says, thou shalt not steal. It's simple, but we don't ad valorem tax. I can do this all day long.
Sure.
So my question is I'm hoping that we stimulate people. I know we sort of did. We were like Trump in the sense of, let's ask questions. We're the kings and queens. You do the job or replace it at the ballot office.
So you're in the battle of the beasts in the medical world, right? Your establishment, so to speak, as an OBGYN. You run for office. You had this awakening. And then does that then, I know some people talk to you about hormones and you were not a believer at first, but with this whole freedom thing, this medical freedom thing, is that the impetus for you then to go in a different direction?
Yes, Jim, it really did, because you may know Dr. Hamid, phenomenal compound pharmacist. He came in about 20 years ago when I was Dr. Brannon, everything by the book. And he goes, you ever heard of compound about bioidentical hormones? And my exact words were, that's crap, baloney. And I never saw him again for like 15 years. And then
By
another
the way,
guy,
the nicest human being in the
oh,
world.
I love the guy. And he, oh, by the way, he's a jiu-jitsu champion. He can break me up with one pinky. He's so calm. He's the greatest guy in the world. I just love him. Another friend of mine got these pellets. And I go, what are pellets? And he told me, and I go, well, they're going to cause cancer. He goes, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. He goes, well, really, show me some data on that. Whoa. Asked me to have data. I'm Dr. Brannon. And I started reading and studying and reading about 2 years worth. And I found I got Gino Tura. He's about 85 at the time I met him. And he was like sort of pioneered the pellets. And I went to his office. I said, he goes, why are you against them? I gave him my hour's worth of stuff. And the next 2-3 days, he destroyed me with paper upon paper upon paper. And I got placed. I was done. And then I placed Jody. I started seeing my patients change their lives. About 80% of our patients on antidepressants were off. Postpartum depression went away. Now it makes so much sense. You can't drive a car without gas. Now I learned it. So, and then I really learned a little secret, which Hamid was trying to teach me, was that pharmacy companies not own an organic molecule. So they got to tell us the structure they make is superior to what our body makes. Nope, wrong. But we make knows exactly what to do with it. So that was an epiphany. And Jim, when you see people, we've done probably 60,000 placements.
Let me back you up for a second. So you're not the type of doctor that will treat other people without you trying something first. In a way, you're not.
There's
So
nothing.
did you put the pellets in yourself first?
I got placed, me first, Jody second. Yes.
Okay.
There's nothing. The vitamin, whatever I do.
Right. If you recommend vitamin D, you're taking vitamin D.
It's exactly what, I'll give you an example. As an OB, my mindset was, would I do hysterectomy on Jody? Would I put a forcep on my kid? It's very simple. The answer is yes, I do it. If the answer is no, no.
Right.
It's very simple to me.
Right.
So there was never any conflict with what I did. Like I had a lot of people come to me and say for pelvic pain and the surgery, go to surgery, look around. Well, I found in my training that first off is grains make a thing called phytic acid that causes gut problems. So why is it? So I say, hey, they come and they say, hey, I say, stop grains for a month. They think I'm crazy. My doctor referred me for surgery. I go, I make a living putting a hole in your belly button. Please try me 1 month. They come back, go, oh my gosh, I have no pain. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, the answer, I'm very conservative.
Right.
At the same time, if I got to do hard surgery, I'll do it.
Sure, of course.
But there's no way in the world, that's one per patient. Any patient comes to Optimal Bio, ask one question. If they think it's personal, it's not. Are you on it? Is your wife on it? If I said no to either of those, you're out the door.
Right.
Yeah. But I try everything first. So that's why I make sure I do my research before it was my
And
body.
back then, Optimal Bio was called the
The original was called Carry BHRT. And then I go, well, everybody's that kind of name. Then I changed it to, I want something a little fancy called Youth Institute. People thought it was the pediatric group.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a youth camp or something.
Yeah, and I was
you know?
like, I don't know. Then you, me, and Tyler sat around and we started putting it together. And I always brought the word optimal because it's optimal life. Again, it goes back to, I use a lot of example on this, a ton. You would never, there's two diabetics will say. One, a type 2 has they have all the insulin in the world, it's just not working. And they have one, type 1 diabetic that has no insulin. You tell the type 2 to eat better, exercise first because you already have the insulin, make it more sensitive. The type 1, you tell that to the second because they have no insulin. Same thing as we're all
Right.
low T,
Right.
all of us. And we try to really explain is the numbers 50 years ago were 4 or 5 times different, and understand ranges change even today from coast to coast. So bad numbers and bad numbers. So I think we make this statement here on the show too. But Jim, what opened me up was in my very first book, Hormone Handbook, I put my arrogance led to my ignorance. And I'm done being arrogant. I'm done. I'll be confident. I'll study. And then we brought Hamid back in and he goes, oh my gosh, you woke up. I go, yeah, I'm so sorry to kick my ass, before that.
So if you don't have these experiences, running for office, for example, running a second time and not making it, do you think the business is as successful as it is today?
No way, Jim. What makes America phenomenal is the opportunity to fail. That's what makes America great. We're not born in a caste system. We're not. I don't care. Look at Obama, single mom. I don't care. Like his politics, I don't care. He became president of the United States, period, in the story. Yes, we have the Kennedy dominant, royalty. You have you have the Roosevelts. I got all that. It's great. I'm not saying good, bad, or different, but anybody could do anything. To a point, I understand some things we may have defects we can't get over, but even those defects, you have an opportunity in this country. And that's why I'm so bullish on liberty. I'm so bullish that God's in control. There's no chaos in his life, in his universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, these are things we overcome. And yes, I could do 1 push-up and I could do 10 push-ups. Whatever that is, I think that's important. It goes back to my mom. If you don't have dreams, you have nightmares. And the only country in the world The only country that allows that opportunity to fail is here because they have the opportunity to succeed. So I've learned a ton. Again, work with you, work with my daughter. The failure success, I think is great. I love having a mission together as a team. I love it.
Perfect timing. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, buddy.